Section 1.3 Random Sampling. Random sampling is the process of using chance to select individuals from a population to be included in the sample. A simple random sample of size n from a population of size n is obtained through simple random sampling if every possible sample of size n has an equally likely chance of occurring. Now, if you notice in this case, we used a lowercase n and an uppercase n. The lowercase n is a statistic because it's a sample. Uppercase n is a parameter because it's from a population. So they both are size, but depends upon whether it's from a population or a sample. Now, an example to illustrate this. If you have a jar containing 5 ping pong balls numbered 1 through 5, and you wish to draw a simple random sample of 3 balls. A. Let's list all possible samples of size 3. Now, let's use a pattern to get this. So if the first ball was 1, we could have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5. Then we could have 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 1, 4, 5. See the pattern. Now let's start with the first ball being a 2. So you have 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5. We never go backwards. We always take the numbers going forward. And then finally, if the first ball was 3, 3, 4, 5. This gives us a total of 10 samples of size 3. Now part B. Comment on the likelihood of a sample containing the balls numbered 2, 4, and 1. Well, if we look at our 10 samples, there's only one that contains 1, 2, and 4. So this would be 1 out of 10. Now, part C, comment on the likelihood of a sample containing the ball numbered 5. Now we're looking for a sample that contains 5. So in this case, we could have 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. So this is, the likelihood of this would be 6 out of 10. Now, a frame lists all the individuals in a population, assigns a number to each individual. To select the members of your sample, use a random number table or technology to generate desired sample size, and choose the individuals associated with those numbers in your frame. So if I did a partial frame, let me just do a partial frame 11 through 20 and associate a name with those numbers. Now, if I wanted to use a random number table and use columns, if I want to use columns, I look at my frame, it's 2-digit numbers. So if I'm using columns, I'm going to use the first 2 columns to begin with. So I'm going to go down the first column, 31, 12, 35, 2. In this case, 12 is in my frame, so Bill becomes part of my sample. Now I move over to the next 2 columns. So 46, 54, 17, 34. Well, 17 is in my frame, so Sam is in my sample. Now I want to take the next 2 columns, but you notice I got to split the gap. So it's 72, 71, 82, 19. In this case, 19 is in my partial frame, so 19, Tom, is in my sample. Take the next 2 columns, 46, 10, 34, 35. None of these numbers are in my partial frame. So I go to the next 2 columns. 81, 23, 16, 11. Well, 16 is in my frame, so Susie is in my sample. But now wait a second, 11 is also in my partial frame. But I already have my 4 people in my sample, so I don't worry about 11. Now, what if we took the same problem, but this time instead of using columns, let's use rows to find our sample. So we take the first row, and now we're going to split them into 2-digit numbers again. So you have 31, 46, 72, 46, 81, 8, 32, 2. Now you notice the 2 is not a 2-digit number. But now we're going to wrap around to the next row, so the 2 is going to go with the 1 that starts the next row. And by the way, none of those numbers were in our partial frame. So now I jump around. So now I start with 21, 2 in the first row, 1 on the second. And now I do 25, 47, 11. Okay, now 11 is in my partial frame. So I put Fred in my sample. Continue, 2, 34, 50, 09. None of those are in my partial frame. Go to the next row. This time I'm going to start with 35 in the next row because 09 ended the second row. So now I have 35, 17, but wait, 17 is in my partial frame, so Sam is in my sample. I go 82, 34, 16, so Susie's in my sample. 45, 67, 2. Now I got to wrap around to the next row. So 2 and 0 makes 20, which puts Linda in the sample, and I'm done. I have my 4 names in my sample. This ends section 1.3.